So today's speech in South Carolina comes after the president's whopper of a news conference yesterday. One of the many important moments that happened included this exchange between the president and journalist April Ryan about the Congressional Black Caucus. Listen.
Are you going to include the CBC, Mr. President, in your conversations with your urban agenda, your inner city agenda, as well as...
Am I going to include
Are you going to include the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional
Well, I
Hispanic
would.
Caucus,
I tell you what. Do you want to set up the meeting? Do you want to set up the meeting?
No.
Are they friends of yours?
I'm just a reporter.
No, set up the meeting.
I know some of them, but I'm sure
Let's go set up
right
a meeting. I would love to meet with the Black Caucus. I think it's great, the Congressional Black Caucus. I think it's great.
After that, the Congressional Black Caucus actually tweeted this message to the president. We sent you a letter on January 19th, but you never wrote back. Sad. Hours later, the CBC did say that the White House has reached out in an appropriate manner, that's the way they put it, to request a meeting. Joining me now is Democratic Congressman from New Jersey, a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, Donald Payne, Jr. Congressman, thanks so much for the time.
Well, thank you for having me.
You had a pretty strong reaction to that press conference moment. Why?
Well, you know, it just was dumbfounding to watch what transpired yesterday at that press conference. A member of the press asking a routine question of an organization that has been around in the Congress for over 40 years, and the president even not really sure he understood who Ms. Ryan was talking about, and she had to, you know, clarify that it was the Congressional Black Caucus when everyone referenced us as the CBC, and he wasn't sure. And to ask her to set up the meeting as if she's some conduit between the Congressional Black Caucus and the president's, the administration, was absurd.
Absurd. Is this something you take issue of the president's non-traditional style, or do you think this is something more?
A non-traditional style, I think it's in ignorance of where who the players in this town, and having to deal with the Congress. I mean, you know, he's been continuing to write executive orders, and it appears that's how he's going to function as president. But at some point in time, he's going to have to deal with the members of Congress, and the Congressional Black Caucus is 40 members, 49 members strong in the Democratic caucus. So we are a quarter of the Democratic caucus. So we have an influence on policy in this nation, and for him not to even have an idea or a clue of who that organization is where I come on the side of absurdity.
So it looks like a meeting is now in the works in some way. What is the singular most important thing that you want to be addressed in the meeting with President Trump when he meets with the caucus?
Well, it's interesting that, you know, we sent a letter on January 19th to the president, formal means, and, you know, no response at all. Whereas President Obama, within the first month of his presidency, sat down with the CBC. And so, you know, as you showed prior to us starting, we had to tweet the president in order to get a response. So, you know, our letter talked about this program he has for the inner cities and African Americans in this country. Mm-hmm. And our letter talks about how we think that we might be able to help him in a progressive way, do something that is positive in the African community, since many of us represent those areas.
We're very much looking forward to hearing how that meeting goes, when that meeting is, and what happens in the aftermath. Congressman Donald Payne, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.